Hello, and welcome to
LAYO, live in the backyard.
Backyard. We're so
I love your
excited.
backyard, Laura.
Oh, I love yours too. You look great. We're social distancing for this concert in our own separate backyards. So keeping it safe.
Well, my dream backyard, let's just say.
Yes,
My
mine as
fantasy.
well. Mine as well.
Fantasy backyard. But what a beautiful day. And I'm so glad that everyone has sacrificed this gorgeous day for just a little bit to have this time together because I think it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of really meaningful too when you see not just all the work that you students did, but see what all your colleagues have done all this time. Because you were in one backyard, but then all the rest of you were in others. And for all of you watching who are not part of this process, I hope you'll just capture a little bit, get infected a little bit with the enthusiasm and beauty of what we accomplished this semester during the pandemic.
And in case you don't know us, I'm Laura K. Swanson, and I am the executive director of the Los Angeles Youth Orchestra.
You certainly are. And I am Russell Steinberg. I'm the founder and artistic director of the Los Angeles Youth Orchestra. And we are two of people and many others that have helped to make this incredible thing possible. And we'll introduce you to those people as well later.
As we like to say, it does take a village. Yeah,
Yes.
a very large community of amazing people.
So, Laura, as we start here, then I'd like to give a context for what everyone is about to watch.
I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, because it's important to understand this is not what you're seeing is not a curated concert. You know, obviously this wasn't a concert in a concert hall. What you're going to be seeing is really the beginning of an incredible process. Because what you're going to be seeing, we took this orchestra, well, 108 students, whatever, well over 100 students.
108 students.
108, not to be too precise. And we sliced and diced them, so to speak, with a lot of expert help into 32 different groups. So it's like 32 little mini orchestras playing chamber music. And chamber music is such a different process and ball game than orchestral music. You're playing in small groups. I'll talk about that all a little later. But what I want everyone to understand is that not only is this a first-time experience for most of these students, but they're doing it under circumstances that are less than ideal, let's say. I was telling Laura that this reminded me of when I did my training of scuba diving. And I studied at UCLA ages ago, and we were in this huge pool. It went 16 feet deep. And our final exam was we had to go down to the bottom of the pool in all of our equipment with our scuba tanks, and we had to go with a buddy. So we would dive down together, and then we had to exchange equipment. So his tank became my tank, his buoyancy compensator, my compensator. We had to literally exchange all of our equipment, and then once we did that, we rose to the top. Now that's pretty challenging in itself, but what made this a very difficult exam is that before we dived into the pool, we had to take paper towels and put it on our mask so that we were blind through the whole process. The only thing that we could keep, the only piece of equipment that remained on our face was our mask, which was making it so that we had to do everything by feel. That to me is what we've asked our students to do, because not only are they playing chamber music, but first of all, they're outdoors. And outdoors may be pretty, but the acoustics are not ideal for classical instruments. You know, it's like violins and everything. They really need to have a resonant chamber to speak. So already the sound is going to be thinner, much thinner. And that's not only difficult for each person playing, but it's hard for the people and you're hearing the other person play to be able to balance. So that's already a difficult thing. Then on top of that, they're at social distance, at these incredible distances. Chamber music, you usually want to be really, really close together because you're reading each other's body language and looking at each other. But because of the pandemic, we have them far apart, and in the case of winds, turned in totally different directions. So they can see each other peripherally sometimes, but not head on. But then there's the third thing. Most of them are in masks. And so the thing with masks is now you don't even have your facial, it's hard to read eyes, as you know. It's hard to tell when people are smiling, all of these things. So all of these cues are really what are so important in chamber music. And here we're asking our students to do all of this without any of these helps. So I want you to have this context, because you're going to hear some beginning students, you're going to hear some advanced students, and some of them playing, you're going to hear just amazing high level playing, and some playing that's really beginning playing. And yet in every case, I want you to understand that what they're accomplishing is just incredible. I've now looked at these videos, Laura, a couple of times, and every time I see them, I'm aware more and more of just what the students have done. And so you're seeing a compilation of 7 rehearsals. You'll talk about that. So
it's pretty phenomenal. And our students range in age from about, I think this semester is from 8 to 18. So it is a wide range of ages and levels. And so talking about the challenges the students faced, we faced some logistical challenges, because number one, over the summer, we realized that we were not going to be able to rehearse inside. So Russell and I put our heads together and said, what are we going to do? We're going to go outside. So after our auditions in August, when we realized that we had 108 students to separate into chamber groups, we were going to need places to put these students to rehearse. So we ended up with 32 different chamber groups. And after we did this grid so that it wouldn't be an incredibly long day for each of our coaches, we knew that we needed 12 backyards. So who stepped up to the plate, as always, our parents, our incredible LAYO parents who volunteered their backyards, generously volunteered their backyards for these rehearsals for these students, for 8 rehearsals, for 8 different weeks of rehearsals. And I have to say the feedback from our parents has been fantastic, because they enjoyed the students playing, their neighbors enjoyed the students playing, particularly at a time when there are no concerts, there are no live concerts anywhere, all the venues are closed. So I have to say a special thanks. I want to just read all their names, all of our rehearsal location hosts, which actually includes one of our greatest supporters, Don Cohen, and one of our coaches, and some relatives of some of the students who stepped in at the last minute. So I want to thank all of our rehearsal location hosts, Fatih and Mani Adeli, Vicky and David Affeld, Trisha and Derek Bach, Eunice Choi and Charles Lee, Don Cohen, Keith and Kiyomi Fisher, Kevin Good, Stephen and Laura Lee, Susie Jun and Shaoli Lin, Gail and Richard Ma, Amy and Iran Marcus, Sean and Jessica Masterson, and Erica Plastina. Thank you. I'm giving you my own round of applause for your incredible generosity. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
We all do our part. Yeah, no, it's. I just want to echo what you said, Laura. If the parents making this possible, and it gave meaning to the Los Angeles Youth Orchestra. Here we are, literally in the entire, all through the city. And
parents have always been a vital part of our regular rehearsals, right? Bringing snacks, setting up the rehearsals, helping out at concerts. So this is just another huge way that they've made it possible for us for these kids to make music this semester.
Yeah. I also just want to point out, because as we got to talk with colleagues around the country when we did the Youth Orchestra E-Festival, which was one of the highlights of the semester as well. And we were just so fortunate to live in Los Angeles, where we had the weather. Although we had to skirt around fires, we have our own thing too. But
yeah, can you imagine being in Chicago trying to do this? Not going to happen. Absolutely
not so good. So anyway,
so Russell, can you tell us more about chamber music? What it is? Why it's so cool?
Yeah, I want to explain that, because everyone's come together to play as an orchestra, and some of you know a lot about chamber music, but most of the students and parents really don't know much about it at all. And I'll tell you the reason that I immediately, when we saw this pandemic, I immediately thought of chamber music is that when I started Los Angeles Youth Orchestra, Eve Cohen, who's Don's wife, he was my partner in crime. She was a master chamber player. She actually helped manage a very famous chamber music festival in Vermont. So her dream always was for LAYO students to be playing chamber music. And we would organize things on the side, but we never had the time to do it in a real dedicated fashion. Well, the pandemic, Eve's spirit has been quelling, I know, because she would be smiling down in heaven. Yep. She'd be going, finally, you're getting it. You're getting it.
Finally. What a fantastic semester.
Because she pointed out that and this is actually very powerful and serious. You know, it's a great thrill and honor to play in an orchestra, especially when you have an orchestra of 60, 80, 100 people, 108 people. But for most of your life, if you're playing a classical instrument, it's chamber music that you'll do throughout your life. You can do it as long, as your fingers work, and so it's something you can start very young and do it all through your life, and you have friends all the time that you're playing with. And so it's, in some ways, it's the greatest gift to give our students, this gift of chamber music, because whether they go into music professionally or not, as long as they keep up their instrument, they'll always be able to play with people all through their lives. And that's really, that joy of music is really one of the top things in our mission. So that's why I thought of that. So what is chamber music? Chamber actually means room. And so it means music that's played in a kind of intimate room, like a living room, for instance. And so it's not done with a large orchestra, it's done with fewer players. Usually chamber music is anywhere from 2 to 8 musicians, although there are exceptions. There are some larger ensembles that are chamber ensembles. And you've heard of chamber orchestra, which is a smaller orchestra of like 40 to 50 people. So chamber music has a incredible tradition of music written by all the masters that we play in orchestra. You go, Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven, Schumann, Brahms, they've all written masterful chamber pieces. Now, what are some of the typical genres? Well, unlike orchestra, there's all kinds of possibilities. You can have 2 violins, which you're going to hear today, a violin duo. You've all heard of string quartets. There's a genre piano trio, which is piano, cello, and violin. And there's string quintets that are like a string quartet with either an extra viola or an extra cello. And you can add a bass into that mix. You can have sextets, octets. There are woodwind quintets and woodwind quartets and brass quartets and brass quintets. In other words, there is a tremendous variety of things you can do with chamber music. In fact, we have a percussion ensemble. There's some incredible chamber music written, Laura, for percussion. In fact,
we're going to have a lot of different types of ensembles today. So that's what's very fun about today too.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a variety. And, I'm a composer, and most contemporary composers primarily write chamber music because it's much more practical to put on, and you're always interfacing with smaller groups of musicians. So chamber music is one of the most powerful forms of musical expression. Now, when you play chamber music, there's a lot of skills that are like orchestra. Okay, so for instance, in orchestra, you're learning to follow a conductor. In chamber music, you have to follow as well. But it puts so much more responsibility on each individual. You can't hide in a section. Like if you're used to playing with 16 violins and you think, oops, missed that note, no one will know it. No one will know. That's not the case in chamber music. Everyone hears everything you do. And so that's kind of scary at first. And then once you get used to it, it's kind of fun also, because what you learn about chamber music is sometimes you're the leader. So you have to learn how to lead, and other times you're the follower or the supporter. And so you have to think much more consciously than you do when you're playing in an orchestra, because you have to be aware all the time. Am I now coming out and leading, or am I now supporting? And it changes through microseconds. And so you have to practice that. The other thing is you have to be aware of each other, since there is no conductor, and you have to breathe together, and you have to find a way to play in sync. And then finally, you have to have a spirit where you're interpreting the music in the same way. And so you have to talk to each other. You actually have to talk. You've got to get along. And chamber music is like rock groups, right? Some work together really well, and some find it very challenging. And that's part of it.
For years.
I think, that's very true. Whether we're in therapy for years or not, I think we all need it. But so you're learning these skills because you can't always get your way. So I'm explaining this to people who may be just watching this or not. So I want you to understand, because people are in mass and distant, you're not going to see all of the all of the drama that's going on. But trust me, that's part of chamber music, and it's a wonderful thing. And I'll tell you, because I'm an amateur, and I put emphasis on amateur violist and violinist myself. But when I play chamber music, there is such a great feeling that first time you played a chord together, or when it just suddenly feels like you're in the pocket together, and it is so much fun to play this music. So all of these students got a chance to do this, and they had incredible guides, which we'll talk about later, because we had an incredible coaching staff that worked with them at each of these live rehearsals. And it's a process. So what you're going to be seeing is a recording that was made at the end of this process, but it was a very quick process, really, because we met how many times, Laura? Did we
had 8 rehearsals. And remember that almost none of these students had ever played chamber music before. This was their very first experience playing chamber music. And for the most part, they did not know the other students in their chamber group before this semester. So that was all brand new to them as well. So before we move on to starting the show and playing this amazing music, I want to tell you how this concert is structured. For our first half, we're going to see 16 different chamber groups performing, and then we'll go to the intermission around 2 o'clock. We'll be back at 2:30 with the second half of our program with 16 more chamber groups, and followed by our premiere of our newest virtual orchestral piece box, Voc It Out, which features every single person in both orchestras. And then
I want to just say before you go on, I just want to say this thing is so hot off the presses, you can't believe it, because we have gone through so many. It is so complex to create a virtual orchestra video. We have this incredible small team of editors that have they've just gone to the mat for us to make this thing wonderful. So you won't want to miss this. We're doing, what time again are we doing that one at?
So it's going to be around 3:45, 3:50 is going to be the virtual orchestral video. And then at 4 o'clock, we're going to do our award ceremony. So you're not going to want to miss a minute of it. So right now, before we get started with the videos, we want to ask everyone to turn off their video screens if they can, before we start the show.
Very good. And I want to let you guys all know that Laura and I, we've watched through this several times, so we're gonna be introducing briefly each video so that you have just a little bit of context for the composer and everything. And there's a lot to it, but I want to say it's not. Laura was really great the way we're doing this in bite-sized pieces. So you'll hear, like she said, an hour of music, but it goes by. All the pieces are still fairly short. They're all under 5 minutes. And so I think you're going to end up with this amazing kaleidoscope of what this semester was like. And you'll be able to hear some music you would never know about otherwise. Because you probably never heard, most of you have never heard trios for 3 violins or 2 violins and cello. These are not things you normally hear on classical concerts, and yet they're all part of chamber music. Okay, I just wanted to add that. Are we ready to go?
Thank you. We're ready to go.
Okay, here we go.
So the very first group.
Let me get it going. Hold on one second.
The very first group that we have on today's program is a trio from the symphony orchestra. So as you may or may not know, LAYO is divided into 2 leveled ensembles. We have the symphony orchestra, which is considered a more advanced ensemble, and we have the Ruth-Warren Concert Orchestra, which is a more intermediate ensemble. So, and I also want to reiterate that all of these videos you're going to see today were recorded at our final rehearsal and recording session in November. So let's hear our first group of performers playing the Divertimento No. 2 in G major by Haydn.
Mm. Wow. Okay. That was Haydn. What can you say? So gorgeous, so gorgeous. So next we have a group also from the symphony orchestra. We're going to move now from the 18th century now to the 20th century with Paul Hindemith. We have a woodwind quintet that's going to play Hindemith's quintet. Now, woodwind quintet is a group of very diverse colors because you're going to have flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, and horn. Now you say, well, wait a second, a horn is not a woodwind. Well, we call it a woodwind quintet, but you know, the French horn is just a miracle instrument if you don't know it well, because it's the glue of the entire orchestra. And here, it's the sound of the horn helps to glue together all the different colors of the winds. And so this is a fantastic piece by Paul Hindemith, who was actually not only a prominent 20th century composer, but famous for producing a huge amount of chamber music. And so he wrote for almost every combination you can imagine. So chamber players know and love his music. Now, this piece was composed in 1922. That was from Laura's research. Thank you so much for that, Laura. And due to COVID concerns, you all need to know that our bassoonist, Timothy Liu, he had rehearsed with the group all semester, very advanced player, but he was unable to participate in the final rehearsal and the recording session. So you're going to notice instead of Timothy, we're going to have Leah Cohn, the coach for the group, playing the bassoon part. And, we'll talk about that later. But, of course, you would expect some of these things to come up. And I'm just so impressed with the maturity and understanding of our students with all of this. So now I want you to listen and enjoy this Kleine Kammermusik by Paul Hindemith.
Wow, that's a fun
Okay.
piece. So our next group is a string quartet made up of students from the Ruthborn Concert Orchestra. And this particular Mozart quartet is one of the Milanese quartets because it was written during the time that Mozart spent in Italy. And you'll notice that you're going to hear this piece more than once during the concert. We kind of considered a signature piece for LAYO this semester. So this group is going to bring you the first movement of String Quartet number 4 in C major by Mozart.
Okay.
Yay.
All right. Yeah, we're holding the applause because we have so many of these, but we'll get it at the end.
Get to
Okay.
applaud, just me.
I also want to just make a comment on those very elegant stand lights that I believe were supplied by Don Cohen, so that people could see because it got dark later in the day. So the next up, we're going to hear duos. These duos by Mozart. Now it says duos, which means two, but if you look, you'll see that there are three performers. So let me tell you the story about this. These actually come from horn duos that Mozart wrote, and so they've been transcribed for violin. But we one of the things about chamber music, we had to move groups in and around each other, and so we ended up having to move these three people together, and so we have two on one of the parts, but it actually balances very well. So you're going to hear these gorgeous duos by Mozart. Now for two violins played by three. Boy, bravo on the concentration. I should
Great
mention
work.
that was from the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra. Okay.
So our next group is a trio from the Symphony Orchestra, and they are performing a violin sonata by a composer that you've probably never heard of, Jan Leboslav Bela, who actually is from what is now known as Slovakia, and that is, I learned, the 8th youngest country in the world, as the world continues to be split up in different ways. And another fun fact is that Andy Warhol, the famous pop artist, his parents were from Slovakia. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But this piece, which was composed in 1891, is from one of 2 sonatas written by Bella. And here is our violin trio playing Sonata for 3 violins.
I just love that everyone's going to come away from this, Laura, knowing about John Bella. That's fantastic.
I know.
Okay, let's enjoy this sonata. All right. You know,
Thank you, Bella.
yeah, it's yeah. Not only the composer, but this is another thing that's so great about this, Laura. Is hearing a group of three violins, that's not an ensemble most of us really know, but we're going to hear several, some other
Mhm.
trios of violins too, and you realize just what a full sound you can get. And enjoying these different kinds of ensembles is one of the joys of chamber music. Our next one is a woodwind quintet again, and again, it's such a fantastic combination for color and sound. Now, this woodwind quintet is also by a 20th century composer like the Hindemith was, but this one is Ferenc Farkas. And he was born, he was a Hungarian composer, and you'll hear his music reflective of some of those traditions. And he studied in Italy with Respighi, who we know famously as the composer of the Ancient Airs and Dances and many other really beautiful symphonic poems, Italian symphonic poems. Now, Farkas, he wrote film music, and this was actually adapted, this piece, from a costume drama from the 1940s. Now, this woodwind quintet is from the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra, and I should mention that Thomas's brother Timothy also plays bassoon, and he was in this quintet as well. Both of them very advanced players. And unfortunately, again, because of COVID concerns, they were not able to do the final rehearsing and recording, even though they did rehearse it through the whole series of
Semester.
rehearsals. Yeah, sorry. So anyway, Leah Cohn, our coach, is going to play bassoon, in this performance. Wonderful.
I want to say how remarkable it is how great the sound is on all of these videos. They're outside. They may have been made on an iPhone. I mean, that's how far technology has come.
It is.
So
Part of the charm though too is you do hear all these wonderful accents. You'll hear the planes and the dogs barking, all that authenticity, and
yeah,
the concentration is still just right on their music. It's just beautiful.
it is beautiful. And this next group is a string quartet from the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra, and they are playing our signature piece for the semester, the String Quartet number 4 in C major. But they're going to be playing the third movement, the Presto.
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, um, for behind each of these recordings you're hearing is a story, and each one of them, each of these groups that you're hearing has had their own little hero's journey of ups and downs to what they achieve. And because Laura and I, you know, we have this kind of telescopic view. You know, we've seen them. We talk through the meetings every week, and we see what's going on. There's just all these wonderful victories in all of these. I just wanted to say that it's so beautiful. We're now going to go to a trio, but now not a string trio, a wind trio. So this is now you're going to have the different colors: the flute, clarinet, and bassoon. So no oboe or horn this time. And these are symphony orchestra players, and they're going to play a piece by, again, a composer you don't know about, most of you, Kaspar Kummer. And Kaspar Kummer was actually a flutist and wrote a lot of very important flute repertoire, 19th century flute repertoire in Germany. And so you're going to be hearing now the first movement from his trio for flute, clarinet, and bassoon. All right.
You know what I love about this music, Russ, I have to say, is I'm transported often to a different time. And it makes me think of our salons that one day we'll have again, where we get to hear this kind of music, these chamber pieces that often are so evocative, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you make. It does take you to a different time and place and everything. It opens these wonderful windows, and that
Yeah.
kind of imagination is what it's about. And I also love the fact that that plane just had to fit right in there with that bassoon drone, and that's
But
just
we had to have, the modern times in with, something from the simpler time. Yeah.
fantastic. Okay, I'm introducing this one too, right?
Yes.
So this again is this early Mozart quartet, and we were kind of being clever. First of all, it's a wonderful piece, a very early work of Mozart's, wonderful for people who are being introduced to chamber music. But we also knew with the pandemic, perhaps we might have to move people in and out of pieces. So we thought it would be a good idea to kind of have a central piece like that. But when you're listening to this, so now you're going to hear a second interpretation. You'll hear a couple of others. So this is actually a wonderful opportunity for all of us to hear what are the choices in tempo between the groups. How fast or slow they play it. What parts do they bring out? And what I love about this, Laura, is that when you listen to something with multiple interpretations, you learn more about the piece itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot of fun. So now this group is also from the Ruth Bourne Concert Orchestra, and we'll talk about Ruth a little bit later.
Okay, so our next group is also from the Ruthborn Concert Orchestra, and this is a string trio. And they're actually playing a piece by Joseph Haydn that was originally written for an unusual combination of two flutes and a cello. But today you're going to hear performed by two violins and a cello.
Love that end.
Love the bows.
You
Yep.
know, Laura, I just have to mention, if Ruth Boren were here, she would just be smiling so much seeing these young people playing. I want to explain to people that, this orchestra, our intermediate orchestra is called the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra because Dr. Raymond Boren and his wife Ruth Boren, just incredible supporters of our orchestra from the very beginning. And Ruth especially just loved the fact that people, young people from all over the city were coming together, learning discipline and education, and actually getting to know each other, from all these different cultures. It was so, so important to her. And when she passed away, way too soon, in my opinion, just a few years ago, her husband established this amazing fund and naming grant for the orchestra. And so we're just so happy to have her in spirit all the time with us. And
All the time.
it's just, I just wanted to mention that. Now this
Thank
next
you.
group we're gonna hear is also, right? This is also a Ruth Boren concert orchestra. They're gonna be performing a piece by Georg Goltermann. And again, a lot of these composers you haven't heard about, but these are, in this case, again, a cellist. So, a performer who's writing pieces for his instrument, in multiple numbers. So this was originally a cello quartet. And what we did was we substituted a bass in this, and it actually, I think, gives it this very beautiful, rich and deep sound that you'll hear in this serenade. Beautiful.
Our next piece is, this is a group from the violin quartet from the symphony orchestra, and they are playing a piece by Antonio Vivaldi, whom we've all heard of, who was considered one of the greatest Baroque composers. So, and something interesting about Vivaldi is when he was 25, he became the master of violin at an orphanage in his hometown of Venice. And while he was there, over the next 30 years, he composed most of his major works while working at this orphanage as a music educator. And I think it's interesting to note that the boys that were in the orphanage, they had to learn a trade and then leave at the age of 15, but the girls were given a full music education, and most talented of the girls often stayed there at the orphanage, being part of the orchestra and the choir in the orphanage. So.
Great story of music education. Okay. So next we have again a woodwind trio, and this woodwind trio is from the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra, and so they're going to be performing a minuet by Haydn that was arranged again for this trio, and it's arranged from his London Symphony Number 104. One thing you'll need to notice from this is the really proper and incredible social distancing between these three players.
Wonderful. Our next group is a brass quartet. We have not heard a brass quartet yet today, and they are from the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra, composed of 2 trumpets and 2 trombones. And they are performing the Canzon Sesta, which is one of only 23 surviving works by 16th century composer Florentino Maschiera.
I just love the variety of this music. So that was such an exciting piece. Okay, our next piece here, as you see, is a string trio, two violins and cello, playing a London trio by the great Haydn. Haydn actually went to London very late in his life. He was always at the Esterhazy court, and when he was finally invited by an impresario to London, it was a big deal because he was kind of old at the time, and his good friend Mozart said, "Oh, Papa," because that's what he was always called, Papa Haydn. "Papa, you're too old to travel, but not only that, you don't even speak the language," meaning he doesn't speak English, right? He spoke German. And Haydn said, "Oh, my dear Mozart, don't worry at all about that, because the language I speak," meaning music, "is understood everywhere around the world." And so we'll now hear this trio.
now we come to the final piece on the first half of the program, which is a violin trio from the Symphony Orchestra. And this piece was actually a great find by our chamber program director, Linnea Powell. So kudos to her. So next we're going to hear this delightful Capriccio by Friedrich Hermann.
Yeah, I just want to say very briefly that Hermann was an actual student of Mendelssohn, and he ended up teaching. He ended up assuming the directorship of the Leipzig Conservatory because Felix Mendelssohn established the first major conservatory of music, and then Hermann took over from it. And you'll hear in this incredible piece both influences by Mendelssohn, also a little bit of Liszt in there, which is kind of amazing. You'll hear that in the virtuosity of the music. Okay.
Great
Well,
way to finish the first half.
that finishes the first half. So listen, I hope you were just having a great time listening to all that music. So what you can do now is we're going to have a 30-minute intermission for you to grab a drink or a snack. But what I'm going to do, if you want to hang around a little bit, I'm going to play you a performance by the Los Angeles Youth Orchestra that was actually outside, but it was outside, Laura, in Italy. And this is when we performed.
There.
You were there. That's right. We're there. So, but it is outside. so,
Yes, it is. Yes.
so this will be of the Coriolan Overture, and so we'll play that if you'd like to listen to about 10 minutes long, and then we'll just have you can take that time off, and we'll come back. What time will we be back?
We'll be back at 2:30. We're going to come back at 2:30 for the second half of LAYO live in the backyard.
Okay, fantastic. And I see we're both enjoying our virtual backyards. Okay. So let me go here, and we will move to Coriolan.
kids were just incredible in that place where Verdi had performed,
Right.
and Puccini had performed.
It's so emotional.
And it was remarkable. It's just remarkable. The resonance, incredible.
All the marble there. Yeah, but it was.
Yeah, all the marble,
Yeah.
right? Where people go to take these healing waters, right?
Yeah. Incredible place. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
just fits so well with our backyard motif.
It does. Our outdoor motif. I love it.
Okay, so we're going to be back at, again?
2:30.
At 2:30. And also, Laura, we should remind people that we do have the program available online if they want to see.
The program, actually, we had posted it in the chat, and we'll do that again so that you can click it, and you'll have access to see what's coming up in the next half of the program.
Okay, we will see you all at 2:30.
Welcome back to LAYO live
in the backyard.
My favorite.
Okay, so if you're just tuning in, all of you, we're back now from intermission and our quick snack, and we're about to start the second half of this amazing virtual concert and competition. I'm Russell Steinberg, the founder and artistic director of the Los Angeles Youth Orchestra.
And I'm Laura Faye Swanson, the executive director of the Youth Orchestra, LAYO.
Yeah. So for this half of the concert, we're
going to be showcasing 16 more chamber group performances, as well as premiering our newest virtual orchestral piece, Bach's Vocat Alf, followed by our awards ceremony.
Yes, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Bach virtual orchestra piece when we get to that, because that's an entire semester project in itself, and we're just so excited that it came together. That definitely took more than a village. Yeah, and so what I guess we wanted to say is, again, if you're just tuning in for the first time, or whether you've come in just now, what was so beautiful about this semester, students were exposed to the beauties of chamber music, being able to play in small groups and work together, and to explore composers that they would otherwise never probably know about. And we talked about how we saw very early on, I think, we already talked about April and May, that we had this, pretty sure feeling that we were going to be shut down for the fall semester. And that's what allowed us to really group in and organize and figure out this idea of splitting the orchestra into all these small chamber groups, 32 of them, in fact. So we heard 16 on the first half, and now we're going to hear the other 16 on the other half. I just want to mention that these performances are being adjudicated. These students, many of whom are playing chamber music for the very first time in their lives, but the coaches that we have, and we'll talk about this incredible coaching staff we've assembled of wonderful professional musicians and educators, and so they adjudicated these performances, and the awards that we'll be giving out at the end of this will be from those adjudications. What else did
one of the things that I wanted to mention is the students have said to me how great it is that they've gotten to meet new people, right? Even though they're socially distanced, they're wearing masks, right? They aren't even really having time to chat, but they've made these connections, and they're furthering those connections outside of their rehearsals. And as we know, when you play music with other people, you create art with other people, those are often connections that last a lifetime. And there are very strong connections, very strong bonds, right? Yeah. Over creating something together and playing together. So that makes me so happy in such a time when I know that students are struggling so much with having been isolated, that we're able to offer them this opportunity to have some level of connection with other people and make some new connections.
Yeah, Laura, that's such an important point that you're bringing up, because when they make good connections, even being an orchestra, but this is so much more intimate. So they actually get to work together that way. And I also want to mention, as the conductor of the orchestra, the experience these students are getting from chamber music, learning to lead and follow, and actually having to think about interpretation. This is just going to make our orchestra so much better when we can actually rehearse together, because there's going to be a consciousness now of the whole process. I mean, one of the tricks I used to do when we first started the orchestra is I would have ask individual students to step up to the to the podium and conduct, because it's so funny, because everyone, it looks so easy, and then you go to do it and then you can't get anyone to follow you, and so there's a lot of laughter from that part. But then it's really interesting, because for the students playing, they start to realize how hard it is for all of them to actually coordinate together. Well, chamber music really brings all of this together in a powerful way, where everyone in the orchestra now is going to have a firmer idea about all the complexity that's involved in making music together. So I think that's important. I also see that you've put down that we want to talk about a little bit about the alums before we go further. And I do, one of the things we did, in addition to all the live in-person rehearsal, we had Zoom sessions. And what we did for the Zoom sessions was really interesting. We brought back alums from the orchestra, people from all different years, and to share their wisdom that they've accumulated, whether they went into music or went into other fields. And so they shared their information, wisdom about college, about what they felt they did right, what they wish they had done differently, and really gave some fabulous pointers to the students. I know, because I was taking notes. And then also we had a wonderful session on just taking auditions and dealing with performance and all these things. And it was really beautiful to bring these alums back into the orchestra and see what just remarkable citizens they've become in so many ways in all of these different fields, everything from medicine, to business, to education, to music. And so that was, I think it was really important for the students to get this information, but also to see that this would be their future, because they're only a few years behind all of that.
And I wanted to say that, talking about connections, was that we've really been wanting to build on our alumni program. This is our 20th season, right, Russell? So right. A fairly young organization. So, and we've really been wanting to reach out to our alumni. And so, talking about making lemonade out of lemons, when we had alumni all country and Zoom became so popular, we realized that we could start bringing them together and connecting with these alums, right? They're in all these different varied places, and they could participate, and our students could learn from them, and they could be on these panels as part of a Zoom panel. So that's been another really incredible benefit, right, of turning a situation around and really focusing on the positive. And I also, the next thing that I really want to talk about, I have to talk about, is our incredible donors.
Yes.
So they really are the lifeblood of this organization. And I have to thank all of our donors, right, for making our program possible, for making it possible for this semester. And for us to continue to be vital, right, and a strong organization and part of the lifeblood of Los Angeles. And we've coined this term, the future of culture, because not only, some of our students may go on to become professional musicians, but these are the audiences of the future, right? Because if we don't instill this love of art and music, and so that it's important to us, right? And that it's not just an extra, that it's essential. It's essential in our culture, in our communities, that we keep the arts alive, all the art forms, right? And so we're supporting this one classical music art form, but that's a big part of having these generous donors. We have so many supporters that have supported us year after year after year. And that is why we are so motivated to continue finding ways for these students to make music together in spite of whatever the circumstances are. So if you are not a donor, you can become a donor. You can go to our website, you can give online, you can mail us a check. But I encourage you to do that. Any amount makes a huge difference. And you can see that this is what we're creating. This is what we're offering these students, is this chance to play music, to learn about classical music. And anyway, I'm just so appreciative. Thank you so much for giving to the Los Angeles.
Laura, you articulate so beautiful. So beautifully. I just want to add to that when as a kid growing up in music, the most boring part of every program to me was when we thanked the donors, and as a kid growing up. And I just have such a different perspective of this now, obviously, because I'm the artistic director of the orchestra, but also, I'm realizing just it takes a very special type of person to support a youth orchestra. I just wanted to say that for a second. You know that we're not supported by a larger organization. We don't have the Los Angeles Philharmonic behind us, or a church or synagogue or school that does it. And tuition does not, really covers just a fraction of it. And grants the same thing. Most of our support comes from individual people, and it doesn't. What I've learned is that a youth orchestra donor is not your typical donor. It's not because you don't get a plaque out of it on a big concert hall or a building. It's truly is a calling for people who have this feeling in their heart for education. That's what I found. It's not even necessarily music. It's just this feeling, seeing what's happened with our educational system, seeing a group like ours that has filled in this gap where it's just not happening in a lot of the public schools, and then just feeling like this is how you can make a difference. And I feel that that's what makes our donors special, because it's a calling in a certain way, and and you and I acknowledge that, and we develop really powerful relationships with these people, and that's a big part of the net that creates this creativity and these beautiful things that we're seeing today. I just want to say that. Are we ready to begin?
Yes. So if you haven't already done so, please take a moment to turn off your video screen.
And I go to part 2. And here we go.
Okay, and starting off the second half of our concert is a chamber group of students from the symphony orchestra, and they are going to be playing the first piece on our program by a Russian composer.
Okay, and I just want to make sure with my screen sharing you're seeing this now, the Borodin?
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic. Yes, Alexander Borodin. So this is 3 violins and a cello playing string quartet number 2 by Borodin.
So beautiful. Such a great piece. Okay, so our next piece we have is with the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra, and this is the Haydn London Trio number 1.
Great. And next up, we have a trio of 2 cellos and a double bass from the Symphony Orchestra, playing a piece by Ravel, which was originally written for piano and is based on a European court dance. And the dance form is actually really important to Ravel. We all know Bolero, but one of the highlights of his career was a collaboration with the impresario Serge Diaghilev to compose Daphnis and Chloe for the Ballet Russe. And here we have the Pavane pour un enfante defunte by Maurice Ravel.
so wonderful to hear that piece in a different incarnation. That's the one of the earliest pieces of impressionism, and talk about transporting you to a different place. Really
Mhm.
something. So the
Mhm.
next piece we're going to hear is a early piece by Mozart, one of these string trio minuets. Now, Mozart was probably composing these when he was younger than the young students we have playing, even, which is kind of an interesting thing. Also, as Laura reminds me, if you've noticed, one of the charming things about these recordings with students socially distanced and masks and outdoors is that you get the outdoors, you get the sound of cars and everything, and you notice some birds ended that last piece, the Ravel, and here you're going to hear that birds introduce this string trio that's played by the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra members.
I'm just having a great time. I know it may look like I'm outside.
Yeah.
I'm not really outside.
That was a group that I coached at the very beginning for the very first one. I got to hear it. So it's just wonderful to hear the arc of improvement.
Yeah, the progress these students have made. So our next group is a woodwind duo from the symphony orchestra, and they're going to be performing 3 pieces from Bartók's 44 duos. And these were originally written for violin, but I'm excited to hear them played by this pairing of flute and oboe. And it's interesting to note that all but 2 of these 44 duos are based on actual folk tunes, because Bartók was not only a composer, but he was also a folklorist. But you will actually hear far more of Bartók than the countryside in the final product.
Beautiful, subtle pieces. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Now we're going to be hearing the, whoops, let me stop this for a second. This is the string quartet number 4 by Mozart. It's an early piece of Mozart's, and if you were tuning in to our first half, as I hope you were, you'll know that this has kind of been a little signature piece that we've had in the orchestra. We had several groups doing this piece. First of all, because it's an excellent piece, especially for beginners in chamber music, but also because we didn't know, because of COVID concerns, whether some people might drop out. So we thought it'd be useful to have a piece where people could come in and out. So now you're going to be hearing this group from the Ruthboren Concert Orchestra performing Mozart's String Quartet number 4 in C major, K 157, movement 1.
I am getting to know that piece now. I like that feeling. Our next group is a string trio from the symphony orchestra performing another piece by Russian composer Alexander Borodin.
Wonderful. What a subtle, gorgeous piece. We'll pull that off in a backyard. Okay, next we're going to hear actually a very famous piece, at least it's very famous to me. This is a Bach Bourrée, because I play this on guitar. It's actually from a violin partita. It's played on many different instruments, and here you're going to hear it in a very unusual ensemble for flute and clarinet, and played with beautiful embellishments, from what I remember too. I should mention that was they were from the Ruth Bourne Concert Orchestra.
Yes, and our next group is also from the Ruth Bourne Concert Orchestra. They're playing our signature piece, the String Quartet number 4 in C major, but we'll be hearing the third movement, the Presto.
Okay, now we're going to hear something very unusual, a trio of winds that includes flute, clarinet, and bass clarinet. We don't often have a bass clarinet for Ruth Bourne Concert Orchestra, but we do now. So this is a Ruth Orchestra concert group, and they're playing a really gorgeous piece by Arcangelo Corelli. Corelli was one of the earliest Baroque composers. So you're going to hear this arrangement of a saraband of his, and notice the social distance in this performance.
And next up is a string trio, 2 violins and a cello from the Symphony Orchestra, performing the first movement of the Divertimento number 2 in G by Joseph Haydn.
All right. Haydn is always great. And now we're going to turn to the Bartok duos again. Now we heard them with a flute and oboe. Now we're going to hear them with two violins as they were originally written. These are different selections, though, from the 44 duos. They're going to be performed by a duo that has actually memorized the music. Now, they're not required to memorize. In fact, it's very rare in chamber music you would memorize, but it's something. It's still something we're really impressed that both of these students took the music this serious and memorized it and gave a performance that way. Okay, I should mention obviously it was the second and third pieces that they memorized. Very impressive.
Impressive. The next group is a woodwind trio from the symphony orchestra, and they're playing a piece by British composer Malcolm Arnold, who was actually a master at writing for woodwinds. As you were here in the next piece, the Divertimento Opus 37 for flute, oboe, and clarinet.
a beautiful, subtle work. Okay, we're now going to go to something very different, and that is a percussion chamber work. This is Changing Tensions by Francisco Beos and Boas. Actually, it's misspelled Boas. And she, a female composer, a piece that was actually premiered, I see, in 1939 by the Cage Percussion Players. So, a very important piece in the early percussion repertoire. And this is going to be played by students who are both in both our orchestras of the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra and the Symphony Orchestra.
Great. Our next group is from the Symphony Orchestra. And this is another group where, due to COVID concerns, one of the members, Jenna Ma, who would have been playing the third French horn with this group, was unable to participate in the final rehearsal and recording, although she had been at all of the rehearsals. So as you will see, Castor Teo, the group's coach, is performing her part on trumpet.
So lovely. So here we are. We have made it to the 32nd and final chamber group of this marathon. I hope you're enjoying it. And those students that are all tuning in, I hope you're getting a sense of the enormity, what it's like of all of you, all of these groups doing all this amazing music. Now, in the program, it says that this is Eine kleine Nachtmusik. That was a mistake. This is actually the kind of signature piece we've had throughout the String Quartet number 4, C major, this early work by Mozart. But now you're going to hear it played by symphony orchestra members. And I want you to please stay tuned, because after this piece, we are going to premiere our virtual orchestral performance of Bach, Wach and Auf, and that will be.
Let's go get
We need to mute people. Okay, so here's the final of the performances. The Mozart Quartet.
Bravo to you for that. Yes, so good.
Well, to all
So
our students, to all those students, what an accomplishment. That's
what
like,
an
yeah, Laura.
accomplishment. And I want to tell these students, I miss you. I miss seeing you. I miss seeing your faces in person and catching up with you. So it's hard for us too. But now we're going to premiere this virtual orchestral video. And this video has every member of the orchestra in it. So I want to just tell you just quickly how this is made. Is all the students in their rehearsals every week, in addition to working on their chamber music piece, they worked on their part of Wach it Auf. And then they were tasked with having to record themselves playing to a video that Russell had recorded. So everybody would basically be together, right? And so this is it, you've got to figure this out. So, and they did it. So that is what you're going to see, is everyone playing together in this marvel that has been created by two of our editors. Actually, I want to say thank you to Daniel J. Stimac, our music editor and mixer, and Aiden Palabi-Kolu. Practice that a lot.
That's amazing,
The
Laura.
video editor. If you say it fast enough, you're going to get it right, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, these two editors just went above and beyond to put this all together. But I also think it's important for everyone to know that every rehearsal, the students were not only rehearsing those pieces you heard just now in the last many hours, but they were rehearsing this virtual piece too. So they had very limited time to do it, and the coaches had to work very hard to negotiate the time they spent on the virtual orchestral piece and the chamber pieces. So we were, students and coaches were very busy as well. And I want people to understand a lot went in to this kind of goes by quickly, but a lot went in to make it happen. Let me. Let's see. Some
Do you
people.
want to tell us a little bit about?
Yeah. Let me just talk a little bit. Let me just talk a little bit about the piece. So, okay, this is a masterwork by Johann Sebastian Bach, and it's very famous because of the tune you all know. Very popular tune. You hear it a lot at Christmas too. But what's so incredible, Laura, is that's a tune he composed over a tune that in his day was way more famous, and that was this Lutheran hymn. Sleepers arise, hear the call. This is hearing the call to the Lord, and the tune went.
So every good Lutheran would know this hymn.
Everyone, because they sang it all the time. So ya da dum bum bum ba da da. So Bach's incredible imagination is he composes a tune, first of all, that goes 4 times faster than the tune. So that's the other thing, because he's going ba da 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 da, and this is going ba da da. So he's going 4 times. So 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. So that's the first thing. But what really makes it one of the great pieces of music is that his imagination for how you put it together. Usually when you do counterpoint, it's very, very clear. Note against note, boom, boom, boom. They just line up like soldiers. Bach, instead, he must have known something about plate tectonics before we discovered it. Because what he does is he has them, he has one melody go in over the other, and they seem to float together. They seem to come in at different times. And so by doing that, you can feel the ethos of 2 very, very separate things, and yet they some kind of way they magically come together and fit. And
synergy.
This is what's so beautiful. Now, this performance you're going to hear was an arrangement. It's, even though this is a Baroque piece, and you normally hear it very crisp with just a few people. This is a romantic arrangement that I picked, and it was actually a very famous conductor, Eugene Ormandy, the Philadelphia Orchestra, and he arranged this for his big, lush, romantic orchestra. And so you're going to hear it in this way, and in the editing, you'll be able to see to see all the different groups come in and the colors. And I think for the students, this is going to be a real thrill because, they have never played this piece together, ever. They have played it in their little groups. They've heard it in a little trio or something, but it's going to be a real surprise for them to actually hear it for the first time. Very strange, to say the least. It took a lot of work. And again, my hat's off to Daniel and Aiden and you, Laura, and all the work the coaches did in helping edit
Mhm.
this. And so we will now premiere the Wach it auf video. Oops. I hit the wrong one. 1 second. It's the problem when you see these things. There's too many on the... 1 second. And there you have it.
So much fun. And we wanted to do some B-roll. So some of our students sent us some clips of them. We wanted some kind of iconic LA things. So we got surfing and dirt bike riding and playing golf. So thank you for that. That's just wonderful. So at long last, I want to introduce you to our incredible team of coaches. Now, as I mentioned, we had 32 chamber groups this semester. We split up all these students. So we actually had to bring in some additional coaches to work with us. And we've gotten just so lucky with this team. I mean, they're just all absolutely marvelous. And I want to ask all the coaches, if you would, please turn on your screens now. And I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and just tell us a little bit about themselves.
Hi, my name is Nib Ashkenazi. I'm a violinist. I primarily focus on my own solo and chamber music concerts, as well as educating both in music, as well as advising other classical musicians on their careers.
Hi, I'm Brian Gonzalez. I play viola, and I do a little bit of everything. I do some recording for film, TV, play with a lot of the orchestras in town as well, and also teach for a bunch of places. So I'm a little bit of everything, do a little bit of everything.
Hi, I'm Kevin Good. I'm a percussionist. I work at LA Percussion Rentals, delivering percussion rentals of all sorts to the different studios around town. And I'm also the percussion instructor at Pierce Community College.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephen Green. I am a cellist, freelance cellist, and a teacher. I've been freelancing for a long, long time, and I'm very happy to be a longtime coach at LAYO. I can't tell you how proud I am of the kids and how much they've come through with these two projects.
Hi, I'm Leah Cohn. I am a freelance bassoonist and teacher, and I'm the director of the Los Angeles branch and the San Fernando Valley, Conejo Valley branch of Junior Chamber Music. And I also want to mention that Ryan Glass worked with my groups for 2 weeks this semester, and he did an amazing job. So I wanted to mention him as well.
Great. Thank you for that.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cosima Luther. I'm a violinist and I stay busy in Los Angeles. I'm a performer, I'm a teacher, I record for sessions, and I'm also a conductor. So I'm very happy to be with all of you today. Thank you so much.
Is that it? Should mention that Cosima has a multiple relationship with the orchestra because she was actually a conducting intern while she was already such an accomplished professional musician, and she's come back in many guises in LAYO. So we have another batch now, Laura?
Yep, Beth Park.
Hey, Beth.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Beth Park, and I am a cellist, and I'm a teacher and freelance musician.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Pfeiffer, and I'm a double bass player, freelance musician in LA, and studio musician. Happy to be with you guys.
Hi, I'm Adrienne Pope. I play the violin and I freelance in town as well as play with the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra. But my true love is chamber music. So it's so great to get to make chamber music with these students this year.
Also, we must add, if we haven't already, Laura, that Adrienne did all the title cards and editing for the, for this, for the whole.
Yes, for all of the chamber groups, basically. She put together all of those videos. Yes, amazing work, created all the title cards. Yeah, thank you. Gosh, forever in your debt.
Hi, I'm Castor Teal. I'm a brass instructor at LAYO. I've been playing professionally around the world in orchestras and locally. Also teach at many great organizations such as Los Angeles Youth Orchestra. So this is my third year. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dalton Tran. I'm a clarinetist, and I'm currently a master's student at UCLA as well as the orchestra manager there, and I freelance whenever I can. I'm so proud of everyone today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Wass. I'm a flute player. I perform and record in Los Angeles, and I love teaching, and I'm super proud of my students, all the students. They did such an amazing job.
Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. Sarah, just repeat that one more time because my phone apparently is connected to the computer. That's my fault. Could you please repeat that just one more time?
Sure. I play the flute around town, and I love teaching. So happy to be here this semester and really proud of all of the students.
Yes. And thank you so much. Is that all of them? You know, this is just such.
It's such an incredible group, but we cannot forget about Linnea Powell, our chamber program director, who has come on board this semester and made so much of this possible. I'm definitely forever in your debt. That is absolutely the truth.
Well, it's really nice to finally get to see all these videos together. I'm Linnea Powell, just for a little introduction. I'm a viola player and I'm a freelancer in Los Angeles, like most of the coaches. Do a little bit of everything in town, from orchestral playing to chamber playing to session playing. And I've got to say, this semester I've been living in a lot of spreadsheets, and all these names have been little cells in all sorts of different Google Docs, and heard about all of your wonderful LAYO student work in our weekly coach meetings. And it is just such a joy to see all of the final products and put faces with names and put music with instrumentalists, and just congratulations to everyone.
Yeah, and I just want people to know that in addition to all her spreadsheet work, Linnea did some amazing just work as a musician, because there's so many decisions to make about how you put people in the groups, how you match them, and being able to have the intuition for what's the right piece for the right group. And she has such a vast knowledge. And I really need to thank all of our coaches that, because they all contributed so much expertise in that. Again, you know, for people listening who don't know our orchestra, this was like a first time experience for most of these students. And to do something like this and put it together so fast like that, it really depended on this kind of expertise from Linnea and the coaching staff. And Laura and I are just so appreciative of that. Just wanted to mention that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything.
So how about a big bravo for all of our coaches?
Yes. Yay! Love that.
Just loving that clip. Yeah.
Love that sample. That's a good one.
Okay, so let's see. At this point now, what I need to do is I'm going to acknowledge the fact, you know, we're living in an extraordinary time, as you all know, and I feel fortunate that so few groups got affected by the pandemic. But we did have 3 groups that were not able to. We can't include in the adjudication process because of COVID concerns. So it made a few students unable to participate in the final recording and rehearsal with their group. So we didn't feel fair. It was to have them judge, since they had professional musicians being in the group. That being said, you know, with the health and safety of our students and families as our primary concern, we often had to make difficult decisions. But I want to thank all of our families for being so conscientious. This is really true. It's nothing like what you read on the news of people flouting this or flouting that. Everyone was being very careful. And I think that's one reason we had such success. And it certainly helped us in such a pressured time as well. Okay.
And I want to say, because we had very different restrictions this year, in that normally our parents are able to sit in on all of our rehearsals, and we weren't allowing anybody in the backyards, only the people that were playing with their coaches, just in the event of safety and keep the numbers down. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And then as we get to the awards, I want you to know that the coaches all judged according to areas that we thought were really, you know, very important. That included technique and musicianship and imagination and interpretation, all of these things. And then we took averages. Like any kind of adjudication process, there's always differences of opinion, and that's part of what life is. And so I want the students to be aware of that. Nevertheless, we really feel that within those constraints, we came up with things that we thought were really reflected some remarkable performances.
Yeah, and what would a competition be without prizes? So I just wanted to talk about some of the prizes, and then we're going to get to the awards. So some of the prizes that we are offering are, for the first place winners, we're offering gift certificates to Mettler's Music Store for our second place winners, they're going to get a 30-day pass to the Berliner Philharmoniker Digital Concert Hall. Our third place winners and the special awards we're giving out are each going to get an iTunes gift certificate. And everyone is going to get, no one is leaving empty-handed, is going to get our brand new LAYO tote bag, right? This is a sturdy canvas bag. Russell can attest to that. You can carry anything in it, but I suggest carrying your sheet music to and from rehearsals. So we've got that available for everybody. So those are our prizes.
Now, Laura, I do a really bad job reading your script, and you did it so beautifully. But when we talked about the students who were affected by the COVID issues, I didn't name those groups. I'd like to do that because it's so.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, so the groups were the Woodwind Quintet that we heard at the beginning, the Hindemith Quintet of the Kleine Kammermusik with Ava Bach, Aaron Serglia, J.J. Reynold, and Julian Dole. And Leah Cohen, bassoon, she stepped in for Timothy Liu, who was unable to do it. The second group, the Woodwind Quintet that played the antique Hungarian dance by Farkas, had Vanessa Miller, Joran Jung, Weber Lynn, and Grace Kumble. And Leah again stepped in for Thomas Liu, who was unable to play. And then the third group was the horn trio we heard near the end of the second half, the Beret by Johann Ludwig Krebs and the Minuet by Rameau. And that was with Mila Santos Brochu, Nathan Rosenbaum, and Castor Tea, our trumpet coach. He stepped in for Jenna Ma. And I just want to say all three of these groups were fabulous. And I just want that to be known.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Russell.
Okay. So here we go. I didn't get a drum roll sound. Darn it. Forgot about the drum roll. Okay. So here we go. We're going to start. So what we did was we gave 3 prizes to each orchestra. And we're going to begin now with the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra Awards. And so third place in the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra is going to go to Julia Drodz, Rose Domzalski, and Joshua Tang for their performance of Corelli's Saraband, arranged by Himi Voman. And we get applause for that. Let's all give applause. Bravo. And again, A++ for social distancing.
Yep.
Okay, our second place in Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra goes to a quartet. Keon Kim, Cordelia Rochbach, Bridget Frey, and Emily I in the String Quartet number 4 in C major, opus 157 by Mozart. And let's have a hand for them. You guys are going to get very sick of that sound, right? Okay. And now our first place for the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra goes to a duo. The Bartok duos performed by William Putzer and Adam Jang. And a prize for them. Applause for them. Just outstanding for all 3 groups. Okay, Laura, are we ready to move on to symphony?
Symphony awards, yes.
Okay, so now 3 places for the symphony as well. Third place is going to go to a wind trio. Lynn Lee, Vanessa Pare, and Daniel Thurmond in the first and second movement of Malcolm Arnold's Divertimento. And they get applause too. Yay. Stop it. Okay. Can't get that applause to stop now. Second place is going to a string quartet, and that is Amy Hahn, Zoe Barton, Charlotte Costain, and Samantha Adams in the first movement of the String Quartet number 2 by Borodin. And applause for them, please. And first place, our top prize for the symphony orchestra, goes to the fantastic trio played by Andrew Yang, Alicia Hahn, and Julia Marcus, Hermann's Capriccio. And bravo. I want to just say a special bravo to all 6 of these groups, but with the understanding that there were so many other groups who had so many great moments, and we wanted to give a few special awards. And so we talked about that. So we're going to give an award for the most spirited group, which is very important in chamber music. And that's going to go to Yuan Wan Lai, Julia Pellegrini, and Max Knight for their performance of the Haydn Minuet and Trio for woodwinds. So yay to them. We have an award for the most improved ensemble in the Ruth Boren Concert Orchestra. And that's going to go to Jaden Escobar, Sean Ye, and Juliana Ye with their performance of the Haydn London Trio No. 1. And I'm doing this because if we didn't mute you, we'd get all kinds of sounds, right? Although we'll unmute you at the end. And then in the symphony, we also felt a really important award for most improved, and that was for the brass trio, Mila Santos Brochu, Nathan Rosenbaum, and Jenna Ma, and their performance of the Bourrée and Minuet from the Five Dances for Horns, arranged by Patrick Clement. So a big round of applause.
We don't have a picture of Jenna Ma. This is a screenshot from their actual performance.
Yeah, this is a screenshot, so we do not have Jenna Ma in this. We're sorry about that, but she's certainly worthy of the award. And then finally, we have an award for the most eclectic ensemble, because we had so many different kinds of groups here, and we wanted to make sure that was acknowledged as well. And again, everyone's group there was just so many fantastic things, but this was a really wonderful performance. This award is going to go to our percussion ensemble, Tanner Robart, Sophia Setignan, Nadine Setignan, in their performance of Francisca Boas's Changing Tensions. Bravo. Actually, could everyone turn on your videos and unmute yourself and give an applause to everyone for all the incredible work they've done?
Turn on your videos. We want to see everybody.
Good job.
Yeah. Now, Laura, I'm sorry if there's so much going on. I may not have heard, but did you announce the prize for everyone?
I did announce all the prizes before you even started. Before you even started the award.
Figures. I didn't bring my bag with me. I just should have. It's not. I got it first, by the way. I want you to know. I got the tote bag first. Okay. Very, very important. So I want to let everyone know that this was definitely a historic thing for us. I know it was a long haul for all of you to hear, those who stuck it through, but I think you came away with something really powerful. This was a very meaningful semester for everybody. Everyone improved so much. That said, I feel like it's just a beginning, because, you know, what I'm really excited about is for the students to build on these beginning skills and see what happens now in our next semester, when now it's something they understand, and we start to have interpretations that they're even able to blossom more and get to even more advanced levels. So I'm very excited about what's going to happen next semester. And then again, I'm just acknowledging just what a phenomenal job everyone did for this semester.
Phenomenal job. And I hope it was fun for the students to see all the other students that they haven't gotten to interact with all semester. So see what's been going on in all these other chamber groups. So this has been just a wonderful day for me. So I'm so proud of all of you students with all the challenges I know that you have faced. You've really come through and just made some beautiful, beautiful, wonderful music. So
I want to just say too, we know everyone's laboring under so much. You know, you're sick of Zoom, you're sick of all kinds of things. It's hard not to be together and everything. It's really beautiful to have this moment, though, to be together virtually and acknowledge all of that work. And then I want to just say, as the founder of this orchestra, just what it has meant to me to see the level of work that everyone has been putting on. Laura, I just have to acknowledge, Laura's been working it's always just like 10 times even harder than normal. So I just want to give a huge round of applause for Laura K. Swanson.
Can I give that right back to Russell Steinberg?
Yeah.
Can I
And
also
thank you.
want to acknowledge
Yeah.
our orchestra manager, Anna Kushnerov.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
That's
yes.
what I was going to say next.
So I know she has really been the person that's been reaching out to each and every one of the parents and students and staying in touch with you and checking in with you. So that's been really important to us, so that to stay in touch with you. We can't see you in person, but she's done a wonderful job. Wonderful
Let's
job.
have an
keeping us
applause
all
for Anna.
connected. So I feel like this sound is going to come back a lot.
I promise to erase it after this concert.
Applause button. So this has been an amazing afternoon. I just want to remind everyone that our auditions are coming up for next semester, for our spring 2021 semester, for new students, right? And auditions are for students on all instruments, right? On all levels. And you can go to our website and request an audition appointment. And for more information, our website is losangelesyouthoorchestra.org.
Absolutely great. Listen, I want to wish all of you a very safe and healthy holiday season. Even though a vaccine is now available, this is a very, very tough time. This is not the time to let up on it, because we've got to all stick through really carefully through the holiday season, be well, and then when that vaccine's available, have it. And as soon as we're able, we will be able to play again as an orchestra. But I got to say that so much has been accomplished with this in the chamber way. These chamber ensembles, being able to continue them next semester, we're going to just improve even more. And then when we are the following semester able to play all of our music and go to Carnegie Hall, we'll be on another level. And all the coaches talked to us about how they felt this big change happening in the students. And I just think the fact we're able to have this kind of growth during such a challenging time, it says a lot about all of you and all the work you've done. And so I would love for everyone to just turn on their video and everything. I'm going to go to gallery view so everyone can see everyone.
Yes.
Just so that you can go and see through the screens and see all this wonderful community of people we've created to express the joy of music. And I just want you to know we are all very proud of you, students, very proud. And so let's have a big waving and goodbye and applause, whatever. I will not do the applause button again, Laura. But it's just I just want to go through all the screens since this is recorded.
There we go. Yay!
Everyone who's turned on their screen, well, the few that are. Yeah, it's wonderful to see you guys waving and everything. Okay, Laura, I think that wraps up a pretty big marathon for us.
Wraps it up. I'm wishing you the happiest of holidays. For me, stay safe, stay healthy, right? Enjoy your time with your families. We'll find ways to make it special. So Thank you again. Thank you again to everybody.
We will be in touch with you soon. And I'm going to be inviting all of you to a virtual performance I'm having on Tuesday. So you're going to hear from me sooner than you even wanted to. Okay? Let's celebrate tonight in some way. It was a great accomplishment.
Celebrate your accomplishments. All right. Thanks again.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Bravo.
Bye. Thank you.
Bravi tutti.
Last time, Laura. We'll have to thank Aiden for that. Okay, I'm tuning out.